Ready yourselves, gearheads. Start your engines with haste, and pray your mind does not idle as your symphonic collection of steel and aluminium does. But may you bear in mind its inclination for revolution just the same, for there is a war nigh upon us. Well, there's a war with an asterisk. Many asterisks. See, unless you've been living under a rock for the past 2 weeks or so, you know that California has actually revamped the way that it deals with aftermarket exhausts, or honestly just loud exhausts in general. This video was a few days late to the party, so while I plan to explain and clear up some misconceptions, those who somehow still don't satisfactorily understand the change, or those who have no idea what I'm even rambling on about, I really just want to give my opinion on things more importantly. For the record, I am a New Yorker and I haven't even been to California a day in my life, so this is me just basically taking this distant news and applying it to my situation, slash, just discussing it. This was originally something I just wanted to do a motovlog on, but it's freaking brick out there, dude. Like, real feel is like 17 degrees as I voice this, and I can't take my blankie out on my motorcycle, can I? At least I can actually gather my thoughts this way. Okay, so the biggest misconception for people seems to be that this situation is a new thing, and it really isn't. See, exhaust laws for California have actually been on paper and in practice since the 1950s, with incremental changes over the years. But the important one to mention right now is under California Vehicle Codes contained in Division 12, which concerns itself with equipment regulations and violations for vehicles. Chapter 5, Article 2, Section 271.50.1, Point 2, and to a certain extent, Point 7. Point 1 basically states that no person engaged in a business that involves the selling of motor vehicle exhaust systems or installation may sell or install a motor vehicle exhaust system unless it meets the regulations and standards applicable pursuant to this article. Point 2, Subdivision B states that exhaust systems installed on motor vehicles other than motorcycles with a manufacturer's gross vehicle weight rating of less than 6,000 pounds or 3 tons comply with Sections 27150 and 27151 if they emit no more than 95 decibels when tested in accordance with Society of Automotive Engineers Standard J1169. I already know you saw that little distinction there where the point excludes motorcycles, but just hold on, we'll get back to that in a sec. So point 7 basically allows those to go fix the exhaust if they are in violation of sections 27150 and 27151 for official certification that the vehicle is now compliant with said sections. And quite frankly, that brings us to the biggest change from what was already on the books since 2003. See, from 2003 to 2018, exhaust citations were easily dismissed because they were classified as a quote-unquote fix-it ticket, meaning if a cop pulled you over for a loud exhaust, you could reinstall the stock exhaust and then get the vehicle decibel tested for certification that would actually waive the ticket in court. See, that's no longer the case now though, because now if the officer can prove that your exhaust violates the law, you'll be cited on the spot with no way to waive it. The maximum amount for the ticket is in fact $1,000, which certainly scared a shit ton of people in California. But if you've ever gotten a ticket before, you know that there's often actually a minimum and a maximum amount that you have to pay, depending on a lot of things, which include how many times you've committed the offense. What most people don't know is that most offenders may only actually have to pay as little as $25, not counting things like court fees and stuff. But if they catch you again, well, you better have pockets too deep to care. This was enacted in June of 2018, very hush-hush-like, but as of January 1st, 2019, the state of California actually had assigned more officers to actively seek out and penalize those who are in violation of exhaust laws. So while you may have been able to get away with it before now, you better watch your back. And I've seen a lot of motorcycle guys in California freaking out over this development because, shit, you know how we bikers roll. 9 times out of 10, you're gonna hear us before you see us coming. But let's go back to who the law affects. I mean, remember, it's for passenger vehicles, which include cars, SUVs, and vans, etc., and trucks that actually weigh under 3 tons, which are going to be most personal vehicles on the road. These vehicles must test under 95 decibels at mid-RPM range with a decibel measurement conducted 20 inches from the exhaust pipe. Bigger trucks, naturally, they have to be louder, so they're exempt from this 95 decibel rule. But the law explicitly states that motorcycles are exempt and subject to their own separate regulations, just like with emissions, which still tend to be more strict than in other states anyway. I think the main reason that Cali bikers probably got so worried, in part, is because of this Facebook post made by a division of the California Highway Patrol on January 2nd that, funnily enough, has since then been deleted without a trace from their page. See, it stated that as of January 1st, 2019, a modified exhaust on an automobile or motorcycle that's excessively loud can no longer be cited as a correctable violation. If you feel your vehicle is grossly negligent in this area, you know who you are. See, I'm sure the spreading of misinformation like this contributed to the mass hysteria of bikers. Hell, even the car guys thought this was a full-on ban for aftermarket exhaust systems, but it's actually not. You can absolutely install aftermarket exhaust systems so long as they're compliant with the law and can pass a decibel test that cops are way more likely to be giving out now. But as a New Yorker, how am I feeling about this? You know, people tend to shit on NYC for how congested and how crowded and how annoying it is with the inability to split lanes. legally at least. And we definitely do have motorcycle exhaust laws of our own, but they're so rarely enforced that you'd think they don't even exist out here. For example, the New York State Vehicles and Traffic set of laws, in various subdivisions of Section 375, you'll find that any aftermarket exhaust that emits a sound louder than the system originally installed is actually illegal on paper. This means that you could theoretically install a quieter than the stock exhaust somehow, and it's actually perfectly legal. It's just that if it's louder, it's illegal. You'll also find that any motorcycle exhaust system without baffles is actually illegal too, and the law explicitly calls them straight pipes to avoid any sort of confusion. This means that just running headers with no mufflers is also illegal. Finally, any exhaust system in which the internal baffle, or DB killer as we tend to call it, can easily be removed without modification is also illegal. And I bet a large chunk of you New Yorkers didn't even know about these laws, considering they pretty much rule out any aftermarket racing style exhaust that you could pretty much buy now. But therein lies the beauty of New York. See, just like out here, in California, if you have an extremely ridiculously loud bike, you could still definitely be ticketed even though the new change doesn't really apply directly to motorcycles. Even California car laws still allow for aftermarket exhaust so long as it doesn't exceed a certain value. Bike exhausts tend to be regulated on a more nebulous basis in Cali. Something like, oh, are you unbearably loud, setting off car alarms and hurting my ears from 50 feet away? Okay, we have a problem. I feel like this new crackdown on car exhaust will absolutely bleed into bikes in California because officers assigned to such violations might be inclined to pay attention to loud vehicles in general. In NYC, I would straight pipe my SV1000 regularly because it made a noise that was menacing enough to swallow toddlers whole and make Harley owners who happen to be caging it for the day pull up and say, shit, I didn't know they made metrics that sounded like that. And even though the fear was definitely there of getting pulled over, I still never got pulled over for it. Hey, you won't catch me straight piping an inline 4 though, because that just sounds like someone lip farting into a megaphone aimed into a dustbin. And I know there's stories of guys getting pulled over for exhaust in NYC, but it seems to be a very rare thing. I honestly would more so expect police to visually look for bikes without any sort of muffler and distribute tickets based on that rather than do so just because someone is running an aftermarket exhaust, period. Especially one with a baffle in it. Y'all know me, I'm really big on sound, probably because my vision is so shitty, and y'all know the amount of cars and people whose attention you must have on these NYC streets to safely navigate. Riding a candy red bike isn't enough, and without getting into the politics of it, I'm definitely a supporter of the whole loud pipes save lives idea. I honestly think that if NYC takes a page from California's book by going after loud exhausts, and then takes it further by not making motorcycles exempt from the hunt for the most part, it will be a huge blow to the safety of the biker community. And besides, who doesn't like a nice sounding bike with all of the benefits that it brings in terms of performance? The lawmakers and police of Cali claim that this is all in the name of reducing street racing and other antics that can result in the deaths of not only those involved, but also the people who are just near it all. We've all seen the videos of dudes literally taking over an intersection and just wilding the fuck out. And it seems like it's certainly being done with good intentions, you know, combating that type of crazy shit. But most have doubts about this being the method of cracking down on street racing. Honestly, we New Yorkers are just hoping this fades from the front pages because, yeah, we don't want our tweed-suited politicians or, hell, random police officers getting any, similar ideas. The future is uncertain, and motorcycles tend to dodge a lot of regulation, mostly because we're such a huge minority. That was kind of an oxymoron, but you get the idea. But what if that changes? That's not even something I really want to think about. So how about I just suck it up and go for a ride, regardless of how cold it is. Take my mind off it. Care to join me, New York City? Thanks for watching, guys. As soon as the weather clears up, I have some more motovlogs coming up, but right now it just hurts to ride, so have a nice rest of the week, guys.